Hey, in this video I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can use the grid. The grid can be activated by holding down Command single quote, and that's also Control single quote on a PC. You can toggle the value of the grid. This allows you to draw with more precision. You can also change the grid size very easily too, and I'll show you that here in a minute. So if you go to Photoshop Preferences, and you navigate to Guides, Grid, and Slices, you will get a dialog box that pops up, and you can customize the size of the actual grid. So I can have a grid line every 1 inch, or I can specify it in terms of pixels. So what if I say that I want to have a grid every 150 pixels? You can also choose the number of subdivisions. The subdivisions are those squares that are between the grid. So I'm going to leave that at 4. And you can optionally choose to have dotted or dashed lines. So you can even change the color of this if you wish. So I'm going to choose green. I'm going to choose dotted lines, grid lines every 150 pixels, as well as 4 subdivisions. So let me click OK. So again, to toggle this, Command single quote. And now I've got these dotted lines that I can work with. Now, when I draw using the grid, you'll see that the line tends to snap. And that can be an interesting aesthetic, but some of you may not want that. So here's how we fix that. If we go to View, we want to turn off snap. You can also remember the keyboard shortcut. Remember, the keyboard shortcuts live to the right of every command in Photoshop. So Shift Command semicolon in this particular case, or Shift Control semicolon on a Windows box will turn that off. So the advantage of a grid here is that you can work with it. I can draw something, and the grid is not part of the layer. It's kind of an independent thing. So I can go ahead and make very precise measurements, and what I'm doing here is I've drawn a line segment and I'm hitting Command J to duplicate it, and I'm holding the Shift key down. And that allows me to go ahead and create lines that are equal. Now I can merge those layers by Shift selecting all of them. I can hit Command E, and that collapses all the lines onto one layer. And then I can rinse and repeat. I'll put this on a separate layer here. Command J. And just to save some time, I can merge these guys and then just duplicate the merge. And I'm a little bit off there, but I think you get the idea. So you can make these grids, and what's really cool about those grids is you can do something like this. You can take this and you can hit the transform tool, Command T. You can now have a perspective grid wall. And so this is actually pretty handy. It's, I think in some ways a little bit better than having a grid brush. I know I've talked about that in a previous video. This allows you to kind of expand on that. Use your layers, be generous with them. And also work smart. Instead of having to draw lines multiple times, just duplicate those lines by hitting Command J, Shift selecting the layers, merging them, and then hitting Command J again. And this is something that just saves you a ton of time. Now you might be asking, well, why didn't I just go ahead and draw every single line? Why did I have to go ahead and duplicate the layers? Why couldn't I just draw them in? Well, something that Photoshop has that's pretty annoying, and I haven't found a solution to this, so maybe someone in the comments might be able to answer that. But if you were to draw a line, and with the Shift key still held down, draw another line, it creates this really weird diagonal line, right? Now the workaround that is, if you're making a new line, to tap and then hold the Shift key, and that will prevent that from happening, but that just seems really slow and annoying. So I just choose to duplicate the line instead. So give this trick a try. It's a simple trick, one that you can use with a lot of precision. I'll show you one more trick since you've been so patient with me. If we take this grid and just rotate it 180 degrees, you can take this grid, hit the transform tool, use warp, and you get warp handles. And what you can do with the grid is you can actually move those warp handles up in a very precise way to get an even warp. So I can take this now and move it out. And do the same thing on the opposite side. So you get some really nice curvature. So if you're having to draw objects on a curved surface, this is one way that you can do it. So I hope you found this video to be useful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If there is something specific that you want me to talk about, let me know that too. As always, thanks so much for watching. I also do want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to Kurt Sasso and his Two Geeks Talking podcast. I'll put a link in the description below. I was interviewed for his podcast a few weeks ago, and the interview just went live on September 3rd. So I will be sure to go ahead and put that as a plug so you can check out the podcast. I talk about my background, talk about my teaching, and all sorts of cool stuff. So I think it'll be worth your while. Give it a check out if you get a chance, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.